Hey, what's going on, guys? If you clicked on this video, obviously you know what you're in for. If you have been a subscriber of mine, or if you've watched my videos for at least the past couple years, you'll know that I've done a couple things to the Vulcan 750. Right behind me, 1989 Vulcan 750. Not much you can do with it, but if you really do your searching and really kind of take a look around, there are quite a few things you can do to update this bad boy. But today, we're going to take out this halogen light bulb, replace it with an LED one. It's going to make riding at night so much better. I've actually avoided riding at night because I could barely see with this piece of crap. If you're watching this video, obviously you know I've been successful at it, that nothing went wrong, I didn't die or anything like that. I do want you guys to know that I am not a licensed mechanic, I am not a licensed expert. Basically everything I'm doing for the first time. I'm showing that basically if you have any sort of mechanical sense, you can do it on your own. If you have any basic knowledge of tools and mechanics and cars and bikes, you should be able to do this on your own. It's relatively simple, even if you're not. I'm not an electrician. I hate working with electricity, but I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. I've scoured the forums and the internet, and it sounds like it's pretty simple. But this is what the light is going to look like with just the normal halogen light bulbs. So that's what that looks like. That's low beams. This is high beams. I may not even have it angled right. That obviously has a lot to do with it, but even still, it's a very narrow field. So here's what we got. Basically what this is called a day maker. It's a 7-inch headlight LED. It puts out about 60 watts. I got this off of Amazon. By the way, everything I order, links will be in the description. It may change, at least the Amazon one shouldn't change. And next up, the headlight bucket. All these friggin'. Anyway, this is coming off of a KZ1000. It's brand new. KZ1000 is an old Kawasaki Cafe Racer style. It's got kind of a big bucket on it, but this is what this is from. So from what I understand, it should fit just nicely with it. And we'll see how things go. And then all this, whatever. Like I said, links will be in the description for everything, so let's get to taking this thing apart. Before you do anything electrical, obviously it doesn't need to be said, but just in case, disconnect the battery, please. So in order for us to take this whole assembly apart to get at these bolts, we got to remove this screw here and that screw and this screw here. In case you're curious, this screw actually adjusts the angle of the headlight. So if for some reason you find if you have a halogen light and you find it a little bit crooked, you can actually adjust it this way and adjust kind of left and right. But we're not worrying about that right now. We're taking this whole bitch off, so let's take it off. So in order for us to remove these bolts, we got to hold on to these nuts, and then we'll take off this whole assembly. So, we obviously don't need this connected, so let's disconnect this from the back of it. Grab from the sides of it, and then pull. It should come out. The nice thing about this is that there's only one connector for everything, so you don't have to remember too much at this point. Now what you're going to see here is these Molex adapters. You can unplug those, and obviously one size fits all, so you'll be able to remember where everything gets plugged in. But these are color coded, and best advice I can give you is write it down, label what color goes to what color once you start disconnecting. Now here's where the conversion itself gets a little bit tricky. Considering that we're upgrading to an LED light, LED lights operate under a lower power consumption compared to the halogen light bulbs. So if you were to just do a straight connection of the LED light into this, you're going to get like kind of like a low flickering, because the battery is going to think that you're operating under a low power, and it's going to start kind of sending pulses of power to the headlight. So you're going to get this weird flickering. So there is going to be a way that we can actually kind of trick it with some tricky wiring, and I looked this up, so hopefully this all works. Now basically, just before shooting this, I actually tore the bike up trying to look for it, and apparently it seems that all of my wiring harness, basically for my headlight, was right here behind this headlight. So what I am assuming is that at some point someone did do a little bit of wiring work to the bike beforehand. I don't know if maybe they had an LED light on it before and then changed it to a halogen light bulb, which doesn't make sense to me, because basically what you needed to do is you needed to actually reconnect some wires to trick the bike to give a continuous power consumption to the LED headlights. So basically, from what I understood, is that if you didn't do the wiring properly, that the LED light would flicker as you're riding it. But as I'm about to show you right now, everything is connected properly. All you needed is basically the one big power cable that comes from it, and then connecting all your Molex and your little internal wiring adapters in there. And then I'm going to show you right now that it actually works without any kind of flickering. As you can see it, high beam, low beam. No flickering whatsoever. So it's interesting that I encountered this, because everything I read about this, basically I had to do some like wiring harness work to it, and apparently I don't need to do it. So if you're going to be watching this and you tear your bike apart expecting the same results that I had, you know, don't expect everything to be done the way mine is. For some reason, mine was a little bit easier. Everything was just plug and play, and we're going to go from there. So if you do encounter this problem where your wiring harness is a little bit different than what I have, check out the forums on vn750.com, and I'll actually link that particular thread into the description in the bottom, so you can see exactly what I was talking about, and that you'll find out that I didn't have the same wiring harness setup. So right now, let's get the bracket and let's get the mounting stuff on, and let's call this a repair. This is the LED headlight that I got. Like I said, the link to the actual LED headlight is in the description. Comes with this bracket here. We're going to take this off because obviously we need to get it into the headlight housing, and this big old thing is not going to fit on it. So once we got that ring off with the springs on it, now we have to take off the actual outside ring on the headlight too, so it can fit into this ring? Yeah, sure, whatever. Okay, so this is where the assembly of the actual headlight comes into place. Now that we actually took off the rings off this headlight and everything like that, this is the LED itself. First thing we're going to do, obviously, is locate our screw bag. This should come with the LED headlight set. If it doesn't, contact your manufacturer or your the company that you bought it from. It should have everything in here. But for starters, we won't worry about that quite yet. But for now, basically what you're going to see is this gold harness, this gold ring. It's got these three little notches here. And then on the back of this LED headlight, you're going to see three notches as well. And you want to line those up with these little indents in here. Now this only fits one way. Do not try to force it. If you put it in and then you think, oh, not all of them line up, that means it's on the wrong way. So it only fits one way. So you just kind of start from the bottom, and then if everything slides in okay, and if it doesn't, just keep rotating it around until you get a nice snug fit. Not quite yet, one more rotation. As you can see, nice snug fit all the way around. Once that's taken care of, you take the other smaller ring harness. There's going to be a little notch on the side, and you want to latch that onto this little indent right here. And you want to do that from the bottom. So hold on to it, latch it in place, and then it should slide right on and then fit just right. Now when you do this, what you're going to see is on the top of this silver harness ring, you're going to see this little notch, and then on the back side of it there's going to be a little screw hole. This is where you're going to put your first retaining screw to hold both these pieces together. And this is the time when, if you think for some reason your gold harness ring is not fitting properly, now is a good time to check it before you advance. Because you don't want to put it on the actual motorcycle and then have it not fit. That would suck. It should fit snug on there, and now it should actually be pretty tight. It's actually pretty flush now. So you have another one on the other end too. Make sure that that is screwed in as well. And there you have it. Perfect. Now that we've got that put together, now we have to put on the final ring. Don't forget, remember what I said earlier, that each headlight has a alignment screw, where basically if you notice that your headlights are swaying left and right, we got to remember to put that on first before we put this on. You actually want to make sure that when we're actually putting the alignment screw in, there's going to be a hole here that's going to be facing, when you're looking at it straight on, you're going to see one hole in the frame where the screw is going to enter through this way. And you want to align that little hole with this little bracket with this hole in here as well, because that's where the spring is going to go in. So you want to get the screw from the top, slide your spring through, then you're going to have a little washer that's going to go on the other end of that little bracket. Oh, you would think this would be so easy. Once you actually get the alignment screw in, then screw it in to the point where it looks somewhat straight, and then we can adjust it as we go through. Now, so long as that is aligned, you'll have these two little holes lined up, and that's where we can put in these little retaining screws to put everything together, with these little washers at the end of them. Okay, ingenuity. I gotta hold this in place somehow. And there we have it, fully assembled. Now that that's all in place, let's get the housing on it, and let's get this in here and fire it up. So this is the wiring in all its glory. Like I said, your Vulcan 750, your wiring setup may not look like this. Just a forewarning. So this is where we get this bracket in here. Like I said, this is from a Z750 or a Z1000. I think they pretty much have the same housing brackets. I got a black one. They have silver ones too, but I just like the black one. We're going to mount this in, wire some of this garbage through. What you'll notice too is that these are kind of bolted in place. These are bolted in place up here. So if you notice, like, this one is a little bit wobbly. That's because this bolt probably needs to be tightened. So once I kind of fit it in and everything like that, I'll actually tighten that down. So hopefully you didn't completely throw the old housing away. You want to take these rubber washers off. You can. You'll definitely use them. So here you go, the three pieces to the kind of like the rubber rings. Now you'll notice on the side of this one, this is the old one, it's a nice round hole. On the side of this one, it's a little bit oblong, so it's not going to fit exactly perfectly, but it will fit. It will slide in just fine. As you see, it slides in just fine. It's just going to be a little bit misshapen, but that's the nice thing about rubber. Hopefully you saved the two bolts from your headlight housing, because we're going to be reusing those again. And now, here's the fun part. Is trying to get all this, or at least most of it, through this tiny little hole. Comparatively, the old one had two very large slots. So let's see how this goes. Okay, not that bad. All that has to go through the hole is just this little plug. Everything else can be tucked kind of neatly in the back, so long as there's no exposed wires or anything like that. The interesting thing, like I said, is that there is this bolt here that you can adjust in and out. So this is a little bit wider than the old one, so I'll just have to adjust this. You will have a little bit of wiggle, but that's fine. It should stay steady. Now time to tighten those down. There we go. Now this is the important part because this is where you actually need to mount this properly. So on this headlight that I have, the high beam is going to be this big one here. That's going to be on the bottom. And then obviously this one here is going to be on the top. And you'll see these two little screw holes here will line up with those two little screw holes there. I think I heard motorcycles. And you take the last two screws that you have, screw them in, and there you have it. Woo! Look at that. That's pretty nice. It's high beams, low beams. As you can see, compared to the halogen bulbs, they actually have a much wider spread, so you can actually see more of the road and the drivers on the other side of the road when you're driving down two-lane streets. They can see you as well. It's a much nicer improvement. So maybe this year I'll actually do more night vlogs because I can actually see on the road now. If for some reason you're not satisfied with the height, you can actually adjust. You can actually put your hand on the actual housing itself and then manually adjust it. And it actually should stay in place. Those rubber stoppers will actually kind of keep it in place. So it just takes a manual adjustment there to see. And if you notice that maybe the sharper, the more thicker part of the light that you see here, if you don't feel that's kind of centered, you can actually you see that screw right here, you can actually adjust that with a screwdriver and change the angle of it like we talked about earlier. So that's it, guys. Hopefully I made that look as easy as possible. If you do have any questions, you can hit me up in the comments to ask how I did certain things, if you think I skipped a step or you want a clarification. Although if you do need specific information, hit up vn750.com, especially if your wiring harness and your wiring setup was a little bit different than mine. I think I got lucky with my setup, but if you notice that you pull yours apart and you notice it's missing or it's different than what I have, definitely hit up the forums. You'll definitely find the answers there. If not, ask someone. They're super helpful on that forum. With that being said, hope you enjoyed the video.